So late last night, Studio Wildcard released the official Cryopod change update, which a lot of people have been very happy about because one of the things that some players haven't been happy with the change from ASE over to ASA is Wildcard changed some of the way the features worked in the past, cryopods being one of them. Now, from the most recent patch, what we're going to be reading through, the devs have had a little of response to how things are going to work moving forward into the future. And I know there's lots of features out there that players still want to be reverted back to the old days. Now, if you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to drop a like, it really supports me. Subscribe if you're new around here. And in the comment section, let me know what feature you massively miss from ARK Survival Evolved you would love to see come back to ARK Survival Ascended if possible. So yes, as I saw last night and brought to you guys a video on, there's been an update to the patch, by the way, which we're going to be talking about now. But they said official PvP servers no longer restrict deploying cryopods when enemies are near. And for the official PvE, servers no longer require a cryo fridge nearby, just like ARK Survival Evolved, and they fixed a few crashes. Wildcard also released a little bit later on, it was like 4 hours later, because that patch came around 2 a.m. UK time. And the next one came at around 6 a.m. UK time, so I was fast asleep at this point. But they said, can no longer carry cryofridge with the Rhino if the cryopod cryofridge requirement is enabled. And when I say Rhino, I mean the flying sky giga. I know you guys hate when I call it the sky giga. It's just something me and my tribe have called it for years. But I always, also when I'm making content, I don't want to confuse you with an actual woolly rhino and the flying rhino, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to get my pronunciations spot on for it in future videos so we don't cause any confusion. But just to say it again, can no longer carry the cryofridge with the Rhino if cryopod cryofridge requirement is enabled, and this will apply to official PvP on Steam, Epic Games, PlayStation, and Xbox/Windows 10. I don't think many people were happy about that considering the amount of clown emoji responses to the post, but that has what's been done. So moving forward, the fact is, guys, PvE is always going to have a few extra benefits over PvP. This is pretty much how it is in many games, and when it comes to ARK, it's even more. And the reason why this happens, and there's such a big gap these days, especially in ASA between PvP and PvE, is exploits have gone crazy. And in ARK they always are, right? And on PvE it's a lot less. So they can give PvE players a lot more freedom to enjoy things than they can do for PvP players, because sadly there are people that ruin things on games. And if there was a one day in the future there was a crazy system that came out which stopped hacks and problems forever, then that'd be fantastic. But I just don't think that's ever really gonna happen, considering someone breaks something, someone finds something new. Very intelligent people bypass things, you know, day after day, and that's just a way of the world of the internet, the world of gaming. And it's a shame, right? Because we want PvP servers to have the same as PvE, but sometimes it gets ruined. So moving forward into the future of cryopods, the cryofridge requirement will still remain for PvP, and we'll be monitoring and evaluating the impact of this change and whether we feel it's necessary to take a step further. We have some other ideas about how we can address some of the pain points in PvP related to cryos, namely with the specific tweaks to caves and cryo-related behavior around caves. However, we're going to hold on to those changes for now until we've gathered more data. So that's pretty much what we're looking at right now for ARK Survival Ascended. Is they want to gather more data and spend some more time looking at how they can change things with cryopods on PvP. Because, as I said, when they make one change to cryopods, that could open up a massive hole to many more major problems which people will complain about more. And that's the thing, right, is you get a whole bunch of angry people complaining about, you know, why is this change not on PvP? But if they actually made this change active in the long run, unless they have some new security in place, it will then lead to more exploits. And I don't want ARK to become a game where Wildcard just leave it to be exploited, right? Because That's happened in the past. They've never fully left it to be exploited, but there was times where there was less security and, you know, the official servers have been a mess. And that is what ASA kind of experienced in the early days. So they've tried to restrict that by having this kind of ban on things to do with the Cryopod. We've made one step forward about how in this new patch, enemies do not impact your range or anything of throwing cryopods, which is one good step forward. But we're going to have to spend a little bit of time working with Studio Wildcard, giving them good feedback, giving them good ideas. And hopefully, if someone could come up with that good idea of how to get cryos sorted on PvP, then we're going to be looking good for the future. Something else I also wanted to put in this video, which I thought was very interesting for you old school OG ARK players out there. Someone said, "Oi, Jat, do you ever think ASA will get the I can never pronounce the word, but I'm going to go for randomly generated ARKs again. Was a fun concept in 2016. Shout out to anyone in the comments right now if you were back in the days of random generated ARKs. When I look back to that, I forget it was even a thing, because there was literally a time when in ARK back in 2016 where you could randomly generate a map. And when I think back to it, it was actually such a cool concept, and I really actually believe this would be huge for ASA in the future. Like, it would give you, like, you could just decide to play the island and then, you know, or Aberration or Scorched Earth, and you could just be like, right, I'm going to randomize this map, and I want things to look different when I'm in it. Like Minecraft, right? Minecraft requires much less stress on it's a smaller game, it's tiny compared to ARK. ARK is huge, so it requires a lot more resources. But Jat responded with, I wouldn't rule it out ever, but it's not something on our roadmap at the moment. Perhaps we would be more viable with future versions of the engine, but it's not something we can allocate resources to at the moment with everything else we're working on. So it's a nice response, and I think it would be cool to look forward into the future. I think with ASA, it's like building blocks at the moment. There's a massive mansion that we're all we're all living in at the moment, in this massive mansion, and it's barely been built. We're freezing cold, and in this massive mansion, and you know, Aberration's now being released, Extinction is around the corner, Scorched Earth's come out, and slowly the building blocks are coming up. We had the Cryopod changes, and that built a couple more. Maybe that built a window somewhere, right? And then after the Cryopod updates come out, when, you know, Extinction, it starts building more. We then finish off all the season passes when Genesis Part 2 and Genesis Part 1 comes out. We get Ragnarok, all that kind of stuff. And then once we get to a point where we've got all of the old maps from the old game, we've got some new changes into it, we're getting to a level where we've actually got some heating in this mansion that we're all living in. Once that's at that stage, we're actually on a decent path to the future. Then they can look into new DLCs. Then they can look into more fixes. Unreal Engine. I feel like, do you know what? I'm going to call it Unreal Engine 5.4 and over is that heating we're waiting to be warm in this mansion. And I hope that's being a good kind of understanding. Do you know what? We're going to come back to that point about us in this ASA mansion. And one day we want to be with a roof, with multiple rooms, and maybe one of those rooms could be random generated maps in the future. But I know it's not one of the high priority things, but it's very cool. Anyway, thank you for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you are new around here. And I'll see you in my next video.